Hello, I'm Ben Mutz from Ben Mutz Golf, and thanks for tuning in on my last lesson where I was teaching the structured methodology and how I actually teach by method and learning how to use your lower body when you're hitting a golf ball. So we're going to go from the lower body to the upper body now. Remember, the first week, probably the first week or 10 days, the only thing you were focusing on was your lower body. Now today, we're going to gravitate towards what is called up the upper body. So it's interesting, the first 7 to 10 days, my students are thinking nothing but heel tick, heel tack, heel tick, heel tack, and hitting the golf ball. And they're starting to see progress. And now they come to me, okay, and they say, I'm doing great. I'm hitting some phenomenal golf shots, but I'd like to form more consistency. And I will welcome to the world of golf. We're all looking to have more consistency. And this is when I started tightening up the lower body by teaching how the upper body works. So the first lesson, remember the mirror exercises of heel tick, heel tack. What that really promotes is the movement of your body with your inner heels. And now what we're going to be teaching you in the second lesson is how this is going to become tighter on a proper pivoting going back where the right buttocks go straight back. So we're starting to get more precise with that. But however, I'm going to teach you why you're having a difficult time having your center of gravity go over your right inner heel is because of this pivoting, but mainly it's because your shoulders are not moving properly. Now, here's what I mean. I actually had the student hit a couple of golf shots, and I started explaining to them what's going to go on with the shoulder motion. And I have them grab a golf club, and I put the club between her arms like this, and every single time I have them get in their stance, right foot straight, left foot open at an angle. Okay, I get themselves set right now, and I explain to them there's 2 ways that the shoulders are going to move in the golf swing. One way is incorrect, and the other way is correct. So the wrong way is that when the shoulders move like a merry-go-round, okay, that weight is always going to be distributed on the outside of the foot. And this is the reason why I want to have students come to me and say, well, my last teacher, I was on YouTube, they wanted me to get my shoulders to turn all the way back 90 degrees. And if I go so far back, I'm going to hit it so far, and I'll push their butt over here and they'll fall down. They're out of balance. So the movement of the shoulders are incorrect. So what I do with my students here is when I get them in this position, one of my favorite things I ask them is that right foot straight, left foot open at an angle. And I'm doing the demonstration. Remember, the camera's you. This is you're standing there watching me hit a golf ball. And I'll ask a simple question when they're in this stance here. I'll stop and say, it's really one of my favorite questions. I go, right now, do you have lightning bolts going to your inner heels? Okay, and a lot of times the answer is absolutely not, okay? So after the first lesson, what I'm trying to teach my students is that if you're thinking about golf, you're standing at the Cubs game, you think about golf, inner heels, okay? You're at your office party and someone's talking to you about something, you don't want to listen to them, you start thinking about golf, inner heels. You're standing in church, you're thinking about golf, inner heels. So keep creating the body balancing from the inner heels up, and that's what we're doing here as we move along and progressing in this golf methodology. So inner heel movements are totally related to how the shoulders move. So what I don't want the shoulders moving like a merry-go-round this way, okay? And now what I do is I teach my students to focus on their left shoulder, and the shoulders are moving back like a Ferris wheel this way. And the second that I do that, okay, I'll demonstrate, and I'll physically actually help the students do this here. I'll move their shoulders like a merry-go-round, and I'll ask, is the weight on your right inner heel? They'll say no. And then I actually have the student do this with the left inner heel and the left shoulder going straight back. I'll say, is your weight on your right inner heel? And they'll say, yes. And I go, so that's the definition of a proper movement of the proper shoulders. Major, major, major problem is the majority of people are trying to play golf with the word turn in their vocabulary. So the mind says turn. This is what they're doing all day long, and they're never having the weight distributed on their right inner heel. So in the last lesson, I talked about consistency, and this is what goes on in the world of golf. Consistency. So let's say if you get the athletic guy's 10 handicap, 12 handicap, 9 handicap, 8 handicap, okay, and they go and play on a Saturday afternoon, and they take a golf swing, and their shoulders are moving correctly, but they take the shoulder motion exactly the same way every single time, and let's say 10% of the weight's on the outside of their foot. But for that day, it's 10% every single shot. Guess what? They're consistent. They go home to their beautiful family and say, you know what? I know we were supposed to go to Uncle Jack's tomorrow. I'm not going to Uncle Jack's. I'm meeting my buddies on a Sunday because I've cracked the code. I've figured it out. So what they do is they go to the golf course the next day. Family's all upset. He's not going to Uncle Jack's, but he's figured it out here the day before. Every single time he swing, the weight was 10% on the side of his foot. Now, all of a sudden, he goes to the golf course. He takes a swing, and the weight's 12% on the outside of his foot. The next swing is 8%. Next swing is 10%. And guess what this guy doesn't have? He doesn't have consistency. By the end of the 9 holes, he realized he screwed up. His wife's going to be mad at him for about a week. Okay, he should have went to Uncle Jack's because he didn't have consistency. So where does this inconsistency break down? It's called not having your center of gravity completely over your right inner heel when you're taking a backswing. So in my methodology, it's pretty simple. You take a backswing, that weight's either over your right inner heel or it isn't. And if it is not, you are not in proper balance. So is the weight on your right inner heel. Okay. If you continue moving backwards and the weight's off your right inner heel, your anatomy is messing up. Okay. Either your shoulders are messing up. All right. You're not being stable and you let your right hip go past here. So what happens here is that when we go back, my right hip just drops straight back. Just straight back. Imagine a bar stool with a beer bottle on it. Okay. If I go straight back, I'm going to knock the beer bottle off the bar stool. If I sway, I'm not. If I go inside, I'm not. So it's really just taking your time and getting stable of having your backswing stabilized right here. Center of gravity's right here on the right inner heel. At this point, now I can use my lower body to start the downswing. That's the key thing. Use your lower body. Now here's the hint. If your right hand's dominant and you actually don't have a good grip in your back here, guess what's going to start the downswing? Your right hand. Okay? By you try to catch it with your lower body, it's too late. So it's like one of my favorite subjects is like, I want to get the club on plane. Get the club on plane. So my definition of having a club on plane, pretty simple definition. If you take a backswing and your weight's on your right inner heel, you're on plane. If that weight's off your right inner heel, you're out of plane. So the movement of the shoulders, okay, of the Ferris wheel versus the merry-go-round has changed golfers. What happens when I do this, when I get into the second lesson, and all of a sudden now, even though they had progress in the first lesson, they'll hit a golf shot where that club face comes and descends down in the ball even more pure. That ball goes higher and that ball goes farther because the design of the golf club is being struck properly in the back of the golf ball. So I'm going to go over this again right with you, okay? So the movement that I'm teaching you is simply this. Now watch it very closely. Heel tick, left shoulder, Ferris wheel. Heel tick, left shoulder, Ferris wheel. Now, that's the only body parts I'm teaching at the end of the second lesson, okay? Heel tick, Ferris wheel. Left heel rolling in, Ferris wheel. Left heel rolling in, Ferris wheel. And then the downswing, now listen very closely. It's the right heel rolling in, and the shoulder motions are going this way and not that way. And that's one of the big bugaboos of golf. So duplication, if you take your shoulders back the wrong way, where your shoulders move like a merry-go-round this way, you can be rest assured on a downswing, you're going to be fighting that all the time where your shoulders are moving this way. And another thing that happens here is that when you take your shoulders the wrong way, weight goes on the outside of your heel, you can't roll your right inner heel in. So you are going to always do this with your right heel out of downswing. Now watch it very closely. This is the death of good golf, where the right heel lifts up prematurely and then the body starts spinning out. That's the reason why heel tick, heel tock is so profound, that if you can master those two words of heel tick, okay, and the downswing, heel tock, that's going to get your shoulders moving underneath your body here. So what I've done here is that I've taken the word turn. Remember, my study is based on how the mind tells the body what to do and everything you're doing. The mind's a powerful tool, the most powerful tool in the universe. So if your mind tells your body to turn, that's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to go turning back this way and this way now. If you want to go into the archives of the great golf players, okay, great video on Scotty Scheffler. I'm talking about in the late 1800s, Harry Vardon, okay, Bobby Jones. Every one of the great players talked about lateral motion. Every one of them. On the backswing, on the downswing, you're creating what's called lateral motion going through the golf ball. Then when you get the impact and that weight gets back in the left inner heel, this is when the left hip starts kicking out this way, okay? So I've had golfers come to me and say, well, I went to a teacher and they told me that I want to turn in a barrel and get my hips there. I go, how are you hitting the golf ball? They go, well, terrible. I go, let me show me a picture of the teacher that's teaching you. And the guy was actually doing the teaching. He was swinging a golf club and has no clue of what it means to be athletic when you're going through the motion. Remember, I'm teaching how to hit a golf ball while you are in motion. The big terminology now in a lot of golf instruction is what position you're in. Are you in position 5, you're position 6, position 7, position. There's one young guy, he's probably in his mid-50s, went on to become very successful in the tech industry, sold his company, became financially free, okay? And decided he wanted to go ahead and get involved in the PGA program to be a golf player, okay? Pass your player abilities test. And the player's ability test is very interesting. Nationwide, about 70% to 20% of the golfers that try to pass it on the first time actually are capable of doing it. Very stressful, a lot of stressful. Credit to young people, guys and girls that are trying their butt off. And this guy had the luxury of time and money in his hand, and I've seen him hit hundreds and hundreds of golf balls every single day. And nice guy, a little cocky, a little arrogant. And he took a couple lessons with me, and I talked about the lower body weight transfer. And but every single time he seen me at the range, he goes, I'm working on this position and this position and this position, and he'll go out and do the PAT test and shoot 89, 87, 85. And the guy's physically capable of shooting 72. So if you're practicing golf thinking about getting your body in positions and not doing it with inside motion, you are done. So what my methodology does is simply this. I'm teaching you all these fundamentals within motion. Heel tick, left shoulder straight up, heel tack, that's it. I'm teaching you 3 physical body motions. One of my favorite drills, and as we move along here, at the end of every single lesson, I'm going to go through drills with you and sort of continue your mirror exercise. So the first exercise in the mirror, right foot straight, left foot open at an angle. Okay, heel tick, boom, weight on right heel, heel tack, boom. Then we did the pose position. Now, this is one of my favorite, and I'm going to do a whole segment on what is called the prayer in my 3rd book on the lower body weight transfer. In the drill section, I'm doing what's called a prayer drill. But right now, I'm just going to give you a little idea of what I want you to do. Take your left hand and crotch, chop your right palm. And shove your hands off your left inner thigh. Now remember, you're the mirror. That camera's the mirror right there, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I go back heel tick, okay? I ask myself one question. Is the weight on my right inner heel or it isn't? Now, in this case, it is 100%, and my hands are off my right inner thigh. If you do this exercise and your hands are past your right inner thigh, that means your upper body is active, and I don't want your upper body to be active at all in the first takeaway motion. So heel tick, boom, hands off the right inner thigh. Now, at this point, your left shoulder, this body part right here, is going to go straight up like a Ferris wheel while the lower body's done working. The lower body's done. Now, once you get your complete backswing, and if you're a lot more flexible than I am, just keep going back as far as you can, as long as that weight's on your right inner heel. Now, on the downswing, while we hit the dimple on the ball focus, the right heel is going to roll in and in twice again, all the way through the finish line. So the right heel movement, it's rolling in once and then twice, and then you're firing off that starting block like with your motion here. If you do that, you are absolutely coming into the inside of the golf ball, and you are making a great golf swing through the golf shot. Remember, it's simple as this, okay? I don't care who you are, what you are, how much you practice, okay? It's that if you take a downswing and that right heel pops up like this, you're spinning out, and you're going to be fighting athleticism all your golfing career. So in the second lesson, that's pretty simple. All I do is I connect the upper body. Upper body, okay, is connected with the lower body. So it's heel tick, boom, left shoulder, boom, right heel rolling in, and you continue to keep practicing it in that pose position. That's stretching out your lower back, okay, and stretching out your calf muscles. First lesson, pretty simple, heel tick, heel tack, that's the weight transfer. And really the big connector of this is how the upper body connects to the lower body, and we're not working against each other. Okay, remember, you're like a mirror, okay? So I'm moving laterally back, and I'm moving laterally through towards the perfect target. And let's keep it simple, stupid here, folks. Okay, there's so much stuff going on YouTube where they're talking about positions, and all the teaching that's going on in this YouTube has everything to do with out here. What I'm trying to teach you is like everything we're doing here is in here. Everything's internal. Inside of the heels. Heel tick, boom. Hands off the right inner thigh. Left shoulder going back, boom. Everything's internal. This is going to take the club face where you want it to go. You master the right heel rolling in once and twice. I don't care what you do back there. You're going to hit a successful golf shot. So continue with the Mutz method of golf learning. The first lesson, I did a lot of teaching on my method. And actually what I'm trying to teach you to do is that, make a long story short, the art of lower body weight transfer, upper body passivity, lower body activity. That's the way you're going to get better in golf, is actually how to hit a golf ball, not knowing with anything you're doing here with your upper body. So what we're doing here, what the mirror does, it builds up what is called balancing. Your mind starts connecting with your body in terms of balancing. Remember, hands off your left inner thigh. I must have said that 9 million times in my other YouTube videos. Okay, left heel rolling in, hands off your right inner thigh. This is the beginning of proper timing and tempo. Another footnote on that is that every golf instructor on the planet, okay, teaches that the club face stays lower to the ground in the backswing, and the weight goes to your right side and loads up in your right side. With one motion, hands off your left inner thigh of heel tick, okay, I've accomplished 2 major golf fundamentals. Club face staying lower to the ground, and all my weight's on my right inner heel. I load up on my right side, and then as that body continues this motion going back here, and the weight stays in your right inner heel, all you're doing is taking your right heel and rolling it in once and twice, and continued motion going through. The next lesson, the third lesson I'm going to teach you in this little full swing series of lower body, upper body is going to be on the grip, body, posture, and stance, the position of the right elbow here. And that's going to connect everything. And if you just work on these three segments over and over and over again, your swing is going to start becoming more athletic. You're absolutely going to create better timing. I mean, timing and tempo is it, okay? All right, you have to create the timing and tempo, and the timing and tempo is heel, tick, heel, tack. If you can say heel, tick, heel, tack, and be in balance, you hit the ball further, okay? If you're proper balancing of heel, tick, heel, tack, boom, 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 you're creating the proper body and timing and tempo. Timing and tempo is it. Getting yourself set here. Dimple on a ball. Here's what we taught you today. Heel, tick, left shoulder Ferris wheel, heel, tack. That's it. Until next time, have a great day.